Let's get started by washing our hands. Remember that we want to use hot water, plenty of soap, and sing happy birthday twice to ourselves while we're washing our hands. Next, let's go over the equipment we'll need today for our recipe. We're going to need a medium bowl like this, a colander, a knife, cutting mat, measuring cups, and measuring spoons. We're also going to need a medium-sized pot, and you're going to need a small pot to cook your rice in with a lid. Let's go over the ingredients we need today. We're going to need half a cup of dry lentils. We'll need 1.5 cups of water. We'll need 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of cooked brown rice, 1/2 cup of Italian dressing, 1/2 cup of tomatoes, 1/4 cup green peppers, 3 tablespoons of chopped onion, 2 tablespoons of chopped celery, and 6 sliced pimento stuffed green olives. We also want 2 teaspoons of chopped parsley. So what I already have done here is I've already started cooking our brown rice because that's going to take the longest. So I added already 1/2 cup of dry brown rice and 1 cup of water. The next thing we're going to want to do is get started with cooking our lentils because they also take a longer amount of time. So I'm going to measure out a 1/2 cup of lentils here. And anytime you use lentils, you're going to want to wash them because they could have some bits of debris on them. Sometimes you want to pick through them. One time I got a lentil that wasn't a lentil and it was something much harder. So kind of look through, see if there's anything that needs to be picked out of there as you're washing. Give it a tap. And we're going to cook these lentils in some salted water. So your medium pot is going to be used to cook your lentils. The recipe calls to put 1.5 cups of water over the lentils. If you just cover the lentils, that's going to be good enough, and you can always add water if you need. Sprinkle in some salt, about 1/4 teaspoon. And you're going to turn that on medium-high and get it up to a boil, and then we'll lower it down a little later. The next thing I want us to do is to chop all of our other ingredients that are going to go in this medium bowl. So I'm going to grab my tomato, wash, and chop that. And then moving on to an onion. So an onion is pretty fun. It's my favorite thing to chop, actually. So I never take the peel off the onion before cutting. I simply cut off the top end. I slice straight through the root of the onion, and then I peel off the layers. By slicing the onion before peeling, it's a heck of a lot easier for me to peel because I have a nice end to peel from. I'm only going to need about 1/2 or 1/4 of this onion. It calls for 3 tablespoons of chopped onion. So I'm going to slice from top to bottom, turn it 90 degrees, and make small slices. And whenever you're cooking, measurements are a guideline, but they're not necessarily a rule. If you were baking, you would need to follow your baking measurements much more closely. But if you're putting together a salad like I'm doing, you can always estimate if you're comfortable doing so. Next, I'm going to get started with our bell pepper. So to cut a bell pepper, wash it and insert your knife from top to bottom. And then you're going to go in that insert and kind of cut around the core of that bell pepper. See how easy that was? From here, simply slice from top to bottom. And our recipe calls for 1/4 cup of green peppers seeded and chopped. So it says about 1/2 of a small pepper. My pepper was pretty large, so I think I have just under 1/2 a pepper sliced here. Okay, and I'm going to add a little bit more just because I really like bell pepper. And what you can do with remaining veggies that you don't chop is just wrap them up and stick them in the fridge for another recipe. The things that I have left over here would make a great omelet, an onion, tomato, and bell pepper omelet. Next, we're going to get chopping our celery. So our recipe only calls for 2 tablespoons of celery, so we really don't need much. So just cut from top to bottom. And celery is something that I personally never want to have a huge bite of, so I'm going to cut my celery rather small. And again, I'm not measuring this into measuring spoons, but you certainly can if that makes you more comfortable. Like I said, if I was baking, you betcha I would be taking out my measuring cups and spoons for everything. Okay, now on to the olives. Just give that jar a tap on the side of your counter if your olives are hard to open. Mine definitely were. And I'm going to pick out 3 pimento stuffed olives. These are they have a little bit of a spice to them, so they're going to add some zing to our lentil confetti salad. Lastly, I'm going to get our parsley. Parsley is optional. Some people really don't like the taste of it, but I think anytime I get an opportunity to add a fresh herb to a recipe, I do it because it just seems to be so flavorful and really adds something special to your salad when you have a fresh herb. So just rinse, pat dry your herbs. And what I do is I kind of just chop the top of my herbs. If you get some stem in with the leaf, that is completely fine. The stem is not going to harm you. Just chop everything really finely. And you won't even notice if it's leaf or stem. It'll taste pretty similar. So I am going to measure this. It calls for 2 teaspoons of chopped fresh parsley. And I'll see what it looks like after I'd measured to see if I just want to add the rest in. Yeah, might as well. Hey, that's the kind of cook I am. Okay, so everything is chopped. You can see that our lentils are bubbling and cooking nicely. So we're going to give them some more time to cook, and I'm going to put everything in the fridge so it can get nice and cold, and then we'll combine everything together. Okay, so my rice is done, my lentils are done, and everything was chilling in the fridge. So now I need to combine everything with our Italian dressing and mix it together in that bowl. So I need to grab my measuring cup and something to mix with. And we're going to add all the lentils and all the brown rice because we've measured everything ahead of time. And we're going to add in our Italian dressing. I'm using light Italian dressing. It has less saturated fat in it. It's healthier for you. Using Italian dressing is a little bit of a cheat to this salad. We could definitely make our own dressing as well, but we're also not trying to make things too complicated, and you already had to chop up quite a few ingredients for the salad, so let's keep it simple, right? And if you're new to lentils, this is a really great recipe to try because it just has so many fresh and good flavors. So give that a good mix, get everything together. And you can either serve this immediately or you can chill it and serve it at a later time. Awesome. There we are, lentil confetti salad.